Thanks all for coming out. My name's Stewart, and yeah, I'm going to be speaking to you for about, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes or something like that, on the topic of how to look good naked. Can everyone hear me okay? Am I speaking loud enough? Up the back? Nadia, cheers. Okay, so, as you can see here, I'm on a gym called Improve Glasgow, and just to give you a little bit of an insight into who I am before I start talking about the topic of looking good naked, the picture of me with my top off with somebody covering my beautiful abs. I used to be in pretty good shape. I used to punch people in the head for a hobby. I moved into personal training around about 6 years ago, and last year I was lucky enough to open my own gym called Improve Glasgow. Throughout the journey, I was voted Personal Trainer of the Year with an organisation called Lift the Bar Fitness Mentoring, which is obviously a huge honour. And my ugly mug has been a regular a regular contributor to BBC Radio Scotland over the past year. So that's a little bit of insight into who I am. I saw Scott Baptiste talk yesterday, and he just plastered loads of pictures of himself in Men's Health magazine and Muscle and Fitness. I ain't that guy, but I used to be in alright shape. So, my topic today is looking good naked, and the non-boring guide. What I tend to find is that at these events, people talk to you guys and they speak to you in very, very technical terms. They talk to you about all the intricacies. And in my experience with the people that I work with, we need to start off a lot more basic than that. We need to kind of figure out where you guys are at and move you along from there, rather than treating you all like competitive athletes, because you're not. Some of you might be, but most of you aren't. And I've kind of went backwards in the sense that I used to be a competitive athlete, and nowadays I treat myself and consider myself to be one of my own members, one of my own clients. So throughout this talk, I'm going to have like kind of almost controversial pictures. I'm going to have pictures of people who aren't typically what you would expect to see in talks such as this. You're going to be expecting to see like shredded males, shredded females, and that's kind of not what I'm all about. That's not what I want to give you guys. I want to try and veer away from that as much as I can, because I listened to quite a few of the talks yesterday, and whilst they were great, I found them to all talk about the same message, all to be delivering the same thing. So hopefully I can be a little bit different and give you guys something else. How this is going to play out, and like, I googled Marilyn Monroe, so I think that is Marilyn Monroe. Some of the girls in the audience might be able to tell me it's not, but ultimately, a long time ago, that's what we considered to be like the pin-up, the sexiest woman on earth. Nowadays, I think that we've moved away from that, and like we're in a kind of different place, and I'm not really sure why, but hopefully we can kind of ascertain that as we go. So how this is going to play out, if the clicker works. I'm going to talk to you guys about ownership. This is something I've been really studying recently after reading a book, which I'll tell you about. And it's been a focus of mine, and I think it should be a focus of your guys as well, regardless of whether you're trying to improve your physique or whether you're trying to build a business or do better in your job or do better in a relationship or whatever. We need to take ownership, so we'll speak about that. I'm going to talk about what makes us look the way that we look. We're going to talk about what looking good naked actually is, because I think that we've just got it messed up in this fitness world. I'll probably swear quite a lot in this and might get quite animated, so if you're offended by that, I do apologise. And apologies to my mum and dad, who will no doubt watch this on the camera afterwards. I'm going to talk about how we go about feeling better, because ultimately, as I'm going to go on and on about, I think that the way that we feel about ourselves is far, far more important and far more valuable than the way that we actually look. I'm then going to talk about how to go about looking better. That's going to be the boring bit, because that's going to be the shit that you've listened to all weekend, right? And then I'm going to tell you what I think you should do, which will hopefully just underpin everything that I've spoken about up until that point. We're then going to do some question and answer, so I would love to hear any questions you've got from you, because I have not gone through this talk on my own, so this could be finished in 20 minutes, and then we've got some time to fill, right? So if you've got any questions, feel free to fire them at me at the end. Then we'll we won't get naked. We'll probably end up getting arrested if we do that. So we'll move on to ownership. This is a guy called Jocko Willink who wrote a book on, I can't actually remember, I meant to write a footnote on the slide of what the book's called, but it's like leadership and Navy SEALs and stuff like that. But anyway, the book really drilled home to me. Like I tend to make excuses a lot for why I'm not in as good shape I used to be in, why my business isn't doing as well as it should be, and why my relationship isn't doing as well as it should be either. And ultimately, after listening to this book, because I don't have an attention span, as you'll see, to actually sit and read a book, so I listened to it. After listening to the book, it kind of brought everything home in the sense that, like, I'm in charge. Nobody else is in charge of what happens in my life but me. And I think that that's something that's really important for you guys to realize in your own physical journeys, is that, like, you are in the position you're in because of the choices that you've made and the lifestyles that you've lived. You need to accept that. We need to just deal with it. And that moves us on. So, like, why do we look the way we look? We've got genetics. We can't really control that, so we're going to move on from that point. Our environment and our lifestyle are massive, obviously, in how we look. So our environment, what I mean by that is, like, what type of food are you buying for the house? Like, when you go to your kitchen cupboards, what's in there? Like, are you going in there? Like, I had a conversation with one of our members the other week, and she said, I'm just grabbing whatever's in the cupboards. I said, well, what's in your cupboard? She said, well, you know, like, what's in my cupboard? I don't live in your house. Like, I don't kind of sneak in through the back door when you're sleeping and check your cupboards. So tell me what it is. And she's like, oh, you know, yogurts and cereal and crisps and stuff like that. And that's not what's in my cupboards. And then it's definitely not in what somebody who's competing in maybe like bodybuilding or whatever, it's not what's in their cupboards either. So we need to control the environment we live in. We need to control where we go and do our shopping, what we're buying when we're shopping, and the house that we live in as well, like what we've got in there. And in our lifestyle as well. Like, if you're sitting in your ass all day and then go home, like at a desk at work, and then you go home and sit in your ass on the couch, you can't expect to have a dream physique. Like, it's just not plausible. If you have a more active job, maybe like myself, who charges about a stage, try to burn calories, train once or twice a month, you guys should be training more than that, then you're going to probably have a better physique than somebody who sits in their butt all day, okay? That's Captain Obvious in the building, but like, we need to take ownership of our environment, we need to take ownership of our lifestyle, and we need to just accept that that's where we are, and if we want to move forward from that point, then we need to change things. Somebody tell him to shut up. So, like, what is good, looking good naked? I think that the fitness industry, and since I've been involved in it, like back about 5-6 years ago when I first got started, like, women wanted to be like as skinny as possible. And then like a year or two later, they wanted to be as thick as possible. They wanted big old booties, they wanted little waists. And guys are kind of the same. Guys, like, I've always wanted to be massive, but then it turned into like the whole kind of physique modeling thing jumped in. Bikini girls became like a thing that wasn't really a thing as far as I was concerned when I started in the fitness industry. And I think that people started chasing that. And I think that that's then affected us as the general population. Because like I said, like, I consider myself one of you guys now. I no longer compete in anything. So I think that we're now kind of screwed up in the sense that we've got this image of what we think we should look like, and we all seem to be chasing it. So for me, what looking good naked is highly fucking subjective. And I've deliberately chosen these images. We've got like Matt Fraser there, who's just won the CrossFit Games as the fittest guy in the world, if you listen to the CrossFit guys. He's in pretty good shape. You got, I think that's Big Z, the strongman. Like, is there anything wrong with the way he looks? Like, he's fit for purpose. Like, he's one of the strongest guys in the world. So am I going to go up and tell him, listen mate, I think you should drop a bit of body fat? You know, you just throw me over one of these rigs. Phil Heath's there as well, like, you know, multiple-time Mr. Olympia. Like, you know, that's largely considered the best physique in the world. Like, for me, it's not. I don't want to look like that. I don't know about you guys, but for him, like, he wants to look like that and more. And a large populace of the fitness industry does too. And then you get Daniel Cormier down in the bottom right, who may be like the least known. He's like the UFC light heavyweight champion at the moment, and he's a bad motherfucker. But he looks like a little chubby guy, you know? But am I going to go and tell him that again, his body fat's too high? No, of course I'm not, because he's the best in the world at what he does. So, like, I think we need to move away from this kind of like shredded six-pack and like washboard abs and like thigh gaps and stuff like that, and just accept that we're all different. We're all going to look different. We cannot look the same. And it kind of leads into like, it doesn't matter how good we look if we feel like shit. And I've chosen this photo because this is a girl called, I mean, as I said before, my kind of background is in martial arts, so I kind of draw heavily from that kind of area of the fitness industry. And this is a girl called Chris Cyborg, who is one of the best women in the world, the best female fighters in the world. And they want her to cut down to a weight class below to fight Ronda Rousey, who may be a lot more known to you guys. This is what happened when she tried to cut down to a catch weight above Ronda Rousey's weight. She's lying crying during a weight cut. Like, she's shredded, you can see her abs, she's got like abs that would be more akin to a male. Females are going to struggle to get down to that level of body fat, but she's lying there crying. She's hit a mental breakdown and an emotional breakdown because of where she's taken her body. And whilst we are not going to go to that extreme, I feel that this picture really represents well most of our journeys. I mean, like, who of us, how many of you on a, you want to improve your body shape, you want to improve your body composition, how many of you sit on a Saturday night just feeling fucking upset that you can't have a biscuit or you can't have a beer? Like, a lot of you are smiling and laughing, right? I've been there. Like, I've been there when I've been going to my bed at like 7 o'clock at night because I can't wait for breakfast the next day. Like, that's not a way to live your life, right? And like fighters I've trained, like one of the guys I trained, he was the first fighter I worked with. Like, on a Saturday, we just structured his diet in such a way that he could go bananas on a Saturday, right? He had to rein it in during the week, but he could go bananas on a Saturday. He'd get up at 3 in the morning on a Saturday and tan a packet of digestive biscuits. Like, that is not cool. That's not okay. It's not a good way to live your life. So, like, we need to stop chasing what we are never going to achieve, right? Because it's just going to lead us to a place of like emotional breakdown. And like, I think I told this story last year as well, and I tell it to my members a lot. When I was competing, I went to my best mate's stag do, and I was in Glasgow. It was a home leg, and my mates were all ordering fish and chips and pizza. I had a fight the next weekend. I had to be on weight. I left, walked to Tesco, bought some chicken, water, and like cashew or almonds or something like that, and sat in the car, like, questioning my life. Like, is it worth it? Like, for me at the time it was, and for some of you it might be, but for the lion's share of us, the answer is absolutely not worth it, right? So for me, we've got the big man in the house, right? You're not going to see that in many fitness expos. For me, instead of focusing on what we look like, we need to try and improve our self-confidence. We need to try and improve our self-esteem. Like, again, like, that sumo wrestler, I think that's actually a cartoon, but I thought the picture would go really well. If I go up to him and tell him, like, mate, I'm a personal trainer and I can take a bit of body fat off you, what's he going to do? Like, is he going to just like say, oh, cool, mate, sign me up, like let's get a six-pack, I want to be a physique model? No, he's going to laugh at me, speak to me in Japanese and throw me over a ring. So we need to focus on improving our self-confidence, and this is like, I speak about this all the time. I think like lack of self-confidence is an epidemic that we face in this world. I think it's one of the biggest things that holds most of us back. And I'm not the anomaly. I am a very confident person. I can stand up here and present. But this week's been pretty hard for me personally, and I nearly pulled out of today because I started to question myself. And I nearly just shot a message and said, this stage is too big for me. I want back in the small stage like I was on last year, right? Now, again, taking ownership of my situation, I have to step up as a leader and say that, like, what example am I setting for other people if I do that? If I pull out of this stage, which I asked for at this time, this year, when I stepped off stage in the small stage last year, like, what does that make me? So, I'm not like exempt from confidence issues and self-doubt. I struggle just as much as you guys, but we need to overcome it. So, how do we improve confidence? And like, I don't know who this woman is. I believe she's like a discus thrower or whatever that is. But I think she's pretty badass. Like, she looks pretty confident, doesn't she? Yeah? She doesn't really look like the typical person you would see on the cover of ESPN Body Issue, similar to the first slide. But she looks empowered. She looks like she's got a physical presence about her, and she's built for her purpose. We've got to be kind to ourselves. So this goes back into like, all the time we've got these negative voices in our mind, and they're telling us we're not good enough, they're telling us we can't do this, we're telling us we can't do that. Like, we need to overcome that, and we need to try and push past it. Even like 2 of the guys I was with last night at a fight show, they both walked out the cage, fucking shite, disappointed, and walked away. They both won their fight, both in dominant fashion, and they both walked away scunnered. And it's like, be nicer to yourself. Like, why are you being so hard on yourself? I know you've got high standards, and I know you want to meet those high standards, much like we all do with our bodies and with our lives, but we need to be kind to ourselves and just accept that we can't be perfect in every single way. That we're going to fail, we're going to be faced with hardships, and we're going to have to overcome them, because like, if we don't, we'll wither and we'll just achieve shit. We won't achieve anything. So we need to push on past that. So be kind to yourself. It's a really simple message, but it's so, so profound. Get better at shit. So the way that these guys, like this woman, I've got no idea what her story is. I should have probably researched it a little bit, but she's found her calling in life. She's an Olympian at throwing stuff, right? So what's she going to do? She at throwing stuff, that's like the poorest definition of an Olympic sport ever. But what's she going to do? Is she going to look at herself in the mirror and think, I'm carrying a little bit too much body fat, I need to like slim down so that I can walk about a beach with a six pack? Or is she going to be like, I'm going to get as strong as fuck so I can throw that as far as I can and win a gold medal? Like, she's going to do the latter. And that's like just the thing I'm trying to drive home to you guys. Like, just accept who you are and push on from it. Spend time with people who build you up. So, like, I'm going to use my gym as an example because obviously I'm mega biased, but nobody's going to walk into my gym or our gym and feel worse when they leave. Nobody will walk in and leave with their head held, like hung down. It's just like ingrained into me as a coach and into like the coaches that we have in the facility. It's ingrained in us to make people feel better about themselves, to drag people up. When they walk through the door, we're trying to cheer them up, we're trying to put a smile on their face. As they go through their session, we're complimenting them, we're being kind to them, we're trying to make them feel better about themselves. And when they leave, they're going to walk out feeling taller, and they're going to walk out feeling as if they've accomplished something, because they have accomplished something. And even in the days where they don't feel like showing up, even in the days where they might be chasing a new PB and they might miss it, or they might hurt their back, or they might hurt themselves, we're still going to try and drive home that they're doing better, they showed up, and that's a massive achievement in itself. So spend time around that. If you don't train at a gym that makes you feel good about yourself, go find a new gym. If you don't have friends that make you feel good about yourself, go find new friends, etc., etc. Put the wee voices in the boys. So when you hear the wee voices in your head that are telling you you're not good enough and telling you that like you can't do something, like challenge them. Don't accept it. Like, why would you accept it? For me, like, every single day I've got wee voices in my head that say, like, you're not doing good enough. And like the poor staff at the gym, I'm like, put that away. Why is that not put away? Why did you not say hello to her? Why did you not say hello to him? What, like, she's been in the gym 2 minutes. Why has nobody said hi? Like, constantly I'm on people's cases in our gym because like the voices in my head are saying, like, if we miss those little things, then they'll grow into bigger things and we'll end up screwing up. And it's the same like here, like I'm up on this stage. It's a huge platform for me. Like, I'm about half the size of any of the rest of the speakers today, right? We've got brick shit houses up on this stage, and I'm like, oh, I'm not in good enough shape to get up on the main stage. I'm not in good enough shape. I don't have a big enough following to get up on the big stage. I've not got as many Facebook likes. It's pure pish. Like, what difference does it make? Right? It's pure nonsense. Like, you guys are here, and I massively appreciate it, but like the voices in my head all week have been saying, like, you're just going to have people you know here. There's going to be no strange faces in the crowd because nobody gives a shit because you don't have like 100,000 Facebook likes. It's bollocks. So you need to put the wee voices in the boys. If you're going for a night out and you're not sure whether you should wear this dress or that dress or whether this shirt's too tight, fuck it. Why does it matter? Like, you're not going to walk in a place and get judged by everybody in there. Like, just be yourself. So how do we go about changing the way we look? And this is kind of like, I'm trying to spice this bit up because this is the bit that you've been given all weekend from everybody else. But we exercise, right? We need to do some sort of training. And as I've got further through my fitness career, I've found myself training less and less because I'm just like you guys. Again, I don't know like everybody's circumstances, but I'm just speaking to you guys as if you're like general population and people that would perhaps come to our gym. I know there's a lot of trainers in there as well. We've got some athletes and whatever, but I'm going to speak to you like me. So, as I've got through my career, I've got more stressed. I've found more excuses. I've got like more used to normal life. I've moved away from competitions. So, exercise for me is now a chore. I used to love it. I used to train 3 times a day. I used to be peeled to the bone all year round. I used to get annoyed with myself when I'd sit down and I had a wee fat fold in my stomach. Gone are those days. right? Those days are long gone. But we need to exercise. We need to diet as well. So if we're going to try to make ourselves look better, and when I say look better, remember, we're not chasing a certain physique. We're just trying to chase being a little bit better than we currently are. So we're going to have to diet. We're going to have to look at the foods we're eating. Simple. We can get surgery. I don't know how that works. I've never done it. I've never been with somebody who's done it, but we've got like gastric bands and stuff like that. We've got makeup as well. We can look better through makeup. More and more guys are wearing guy liner and stuff. That kind of freaks me out a little bit, but it happens. And we've got filters. So see this little filter with like the butterflies in their head? And the face is like, wow. Just wow. I don't have Snapchat, but I've seen it on Facebook and on Instagram, and yeah, that's doing a lot for people, man. They'll be like, if there comes a time where you can walk about with that filter on, society's going back up. So that's really obvious, right? And I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence because I know that you're all kind of an educated crowd. So, what are the most important things? And like, again, this is Ryan Gosling, right? When I first heard about this movie, I quite fancy him. I've got a bit of a man crush on him, right? I'm not afraid to admit it. When I first heard about this movie, it's like you go out to see the shape of Ryan Gosling in this movie. And I saw it and I was like, huh? He's not going to walk about on a bodybuilding stage, right? He'd get laughed off a bodybuilding stage. He's in very, very good shape though. But again, it's just like that kind of like, that ideal. If we have the bodybuilders on a pedestal, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but if they're on a pedestal, everything else is going to be below that. Anybody else who's like above 10% body fat is going to be looked at as fat and useless. And it's not right. So, we look better, like if we go back to the last slide about exercise, diet, and then the wee jokey bits at the end. We need to show up. So everybody throughout this weekend has been feeding you training programs and training plans about talking about progressive overload and talking about how you need to improve every time you walk into the gym. Like, I don't really, that's important and it's a key part of any training program, right? But it's absolutely irrelevant if you don't walk through the doors of the gym. Right? If you don't walk into the gym, the training program is like, you need to progress by 5% this month or 10% this month, or you need to get 2.5 kilos onto this lift or this exercise. It's useless if you don't walk in through the front doors, right? So if you walk in through the front doors, you've already achieved something. If you walk in and do 3 sets of an exercise and walk out, it's better than not showing up at all. I think that's something that we kind of miss at these events when we're trying to get overly technical with you guys. So show up. I was like 15 minutes late to training yesterday. I texted Rachel, who was coaching the session. I'm like, Rachel, I'm going to be disgustingly late. Sorry. And I walked in and I'm like, all I wanted to do was deadlifts and curls. That's all I wanted to do before the expo. And I handed myself over and Rachel trained me and it was great. But you've got to show up. You've got to make progress, right? But making progress doesn't necessarily have to be getting fitter, getting stronger. Like, making progress could be training twice a week rather than once a week. That's progress. Like, you're going to see a positive response if you do that. Like, it could be like squatting rather than box squatting with a kettlebell to squatting with a barbell onto a box. That's progress. So again, like, we don't need to be focusing on trying to get like to a 100 kilo squat or 100 kilo deadlift or like breaking records every time we step into the gym. We just need to focus and make a little bit of progress. So if that's doing more training, then great, do more training. If that's like increasing your range of motion or an exercise or increasing the difficulty of the exercise, then fantastic, like, you're making progress. So you want to get hot and sweaty as well. This is typically referred to as high intensity interval training, but I'm just going to call it getting hot and sweaty. It doesn't matter like the mode of exercise you do, you just need to go in and get hot and sweaty. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, you can do, I'm saying high intensity interval training, you can go for a long slow run, you can go for a cycle, you can go for a swim, you can do whatever you want, but like, ultimately if you leave the gym and you haven't got a little bit of a sweat on, you don't need to have killed yourself and get peeled up off the floor. You need to get a little bit of a sweat on. NEAT, this might be a concept that's a little bit alien to a lot of us, so increased NEAT. This is the most technical I'm getting in this whole talk. So NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And what that means is that it's the movement and the exercise you do when you aren't actually in structured exercise. So if structured exercise is when you're in training in the gym, NEAT is when I'm standing up here pacing back and forward, gesticulating, shaking my arms. I'm burning calories, but I'm not actually training. And if it wasn't for this little puppy, I would probably be way overweight at this point in my life. right? But I'm active every day, I'm coaching every day, I'm walking around every day. That's why step counters and like Fitbits and stuff like that are absolutely fantastic, because they make you more aware of how inactive you are, and you can try and boost it from there. So increase NEAT. Eat like a responsible adult. So like, I'm not going to talk to you guys about macros and we'll talk a wee bit about calories, but like, you're all adults. I don't believe I've got any idiots in front of me. I might have, no offense, right? But I don't believe that, and I'm not going to treat you like idiots. So, eat like a responsible adult. Responsible people don't go home and smash 4 bottles of wine, family-sized bag of crisps, bars and bars of chocolate. Like, that's not a responsible thing to do. Like, you guys know it and I know it. It doesn't stop me from doing it from time to time. Like, I love cake, I love pizza, I love beer, whiskey, all the rest of it, just like you guys do. But you've got to be responsible with it and just fucking screw the nut, right? Being aware of what you're eating like then lends itself into talking about calories, talking about macros, talking about protein and all the rest of that stuff. But if we can eat like a responsible adult, then we're going to be well on our way. If we're eating like responsible adults, it might just be that, or we think we're eating responsibly, it might just be that our education on nutrition just isn't quite up there, and what we see as being healthy and what we see as being nutritious isn't perhaps the best way to go about it. And that's when you come to exhibitions like this and you listen to people who are smarter than me and they tell you what to eat. I'm only joking, that's me trying to be like self-deprecating so that you guys don't think I'm an absolute arrogant arsehole. I don't know what I'm talking about. So you've got to be aware of what you're eating, and then you can look into like your calorie maintenance levels, you can start looking into calorie deficits, you can play about with your fat and your carb intake, you can look at your protein intake. But if we're eating responsibly, 9 out of 10 of you guys are going to improve your body shape just by eating what you guys know is healthy. Do we all kind of agree with that? Yeah? Do we think nutrition gets very, very overcomplicated unnecessarily? Yeah, no need for it. So like my main message today, I hope I've driven it home enough, but we need to stop trying to look like these motherfuckers. And there's nothing wrong with the way they look, right? Nothing at all. But for me, that guy's called Ryan Terry. He might actually be here today. Like, and I think that physique is one of the best I've ever seen in terms of like chiseled size and whatever else. I think he's like, he wins the whatever bodybuilding competition it is he competes in, he wins it a lot, right? I'm never going to look like him. I'm not going to put the amount of work in that he puts into his physique. I'm not going to be as disciplined as he is with his diet, and I accept that. So for you guys, I think that, and the female, I'll never look like her either because like I just all the parts. But like for you guys, in my opinion, this has become what we are looking towards. Like my Instagram feed is littered with this, right? I don't really want to see it, and I try not to look at it, because if I do look at it, I'm like, Jesus, maybe I should look like that. Maybe I should try and set a better example. But why is the physique that we've got an example of who we are and like what we can give out? So yeah, again, I'm not slating these guys at all. I think they look fantastic, but I also think the strongmen look fantastic. CrossFitters look fantastic. These guys grappling, like a lot of them will look fantastic. We don't need to chase the one type of body.
Please, visitors, please ensure that bags are not left unattended on the gangways. For your information, there is a cloakroom located next to the VIP area.
Does she know who I am? Somebody tell her to wind her neck in. So I think we need to try and stop looking like these guys, because for the lion's share of us, it's never going to happen. And I think that we're kind of like dooming ourselves to a lifetime of unhappiness, chasing something that we're actually never going to achieve. Like we can set out and try that, and most of us are just never going to get there. And every single day is going to be a grind for you trying to get there. And ultimately, when you look back in like 5-10 years' time, and you think, I've still not made it. No, maybe like 30, 35, 40, 45, however old, and I've not made it, then it's just not going to put yourself in a particularly positive state of mind. So, again, we come back to like the big thingy thrower. We've also got like an Olympic weightlifter up the top. I saw her in the Olympics and I thought she was fantastic. Ali, what did she lift? She lifted a lot of weight, says the resident weightlifting expert. She lifted a lot of weight, and the picture's amazing because she's not Like, for me, I would expect her to come to me and say, I'm really not happy with the way I look. I want to lose weight because of this, that, and the next thing. She looks like the happiest woman in the world. And that's amazing, that's empowering, right? She has accepted who she is, and she's making the most of what she is, of who she is, what she is. She's an Olympian. She's one of the elite in the world at what she does. The guy in the bottom right is a guy called Roy Nelson. So again, he's a mixed martial artist, and he kind of plays in the fact that he's just like a little fat guy who just knocks people out. Like, he just kills people in the ring. And like, he's not bothered by the way he looks. He recognises who he is, and he doesn't try to change it. He plays to his strengths. He realises he's got massive knockout power, and he goes and knocks dudes out. It's amazing. So what I want you guys to do is take ownership. So look at your life. Think about what you're not happy with. Think about what you want to change. But accept the fact that you're there because you've put yourself there, right? It's your decisions and your choices up until this point that have got you guys to this stage. Like, for better or worse, we are who we are and we are where we are. You need to accept yourself. So you need to just accept those circumstances and try and appreciate yourself. Just be happy with who you are. Meet yourself where you are. So this is like massive for people who have been injured or who have been out of training for a while, or who have perhaps like transitioned into a new sport or a new type of activity. Like, you're not going to be as good as what you were before you got injured, right? You're not going to go back and lift the same weight or run the same times. If you change into a new sport, you're not going to compete as well as what you did in the sport you've given the last 10 years of your life to. So you've got to accept that and not place the expectations of yourself up here. Because again, if you expect that from yourself and you go in and and you get that, you're going to be massively unhappy, and it's going to just take you to a place that you don't actually deserve to be. All you need to do is get a simple little switch in the way you think about things, and you're not going to be there. And then we just focus on improving. So like that's my message. It's the reason I called the gym Improve Glasgow. You want to improve where you are, presumably, right? Like the same way as I do. We don't have to improve the way we look. We've got like loads of different facets and areas of our life that we can try to change. It doesn't always have to be about the way we look. It can be about the weight that we lift in the gym. It can be about the times that we run when we run 10Ks. It can be about, like, I don't know what else, the amount of girls or boys you pull on a night out if you're young, free and single. Like, whatever it is you're chasing, like, you can always be better in some area of life. It doesn't have to be a physical change every single time. So, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here, and I've just got a few thank yous that I want to shout out before I take some questions from you, hopefully. If not, no worries. So thanks to all you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to my pish. It means a lot to me. Again, it's been a hard week this week, and like, if I didn't practice what I preach, I would have pulled out. My team and my members are putting up my pish with my pish on the daily. It's not an easy gig listening to me every single day, but these guys do it, and you know, I'm absolutely delighted with them. The SFN EXPO for having me back and having me speak again, you know, on a bigger platform, which I massively appreciate, and for Cinemate Phil for their badassity in the video world and for taking time out to record this for me. Have you guys got any questions that you would like me to answer? No? Okay, if any of you have got any questions, just jump to the side and we can have a quick chat. If not, thank you very much for listening. It's been a pleasure.